is now my intention to lead the Liberal Party with Alan's support into the next election.
That's how Jeff Kennett announced his win today, forcing Alan Hunt into the political wilderness. And the other big news story tonight, High Court Judge Lionel Murphy dies at the age of 64 from cancer. Good evening. Tonight, Jeff Kennett is still leader of the state opposition. He beat off a bid to depose him at today's meeting in Melbourne of the Parliamentary Liberal Party. And as Shane Castleman reports, the man who precipitated the crisis, Alan Hunt, has given up his position as Liberal leader in the upper house.
After more than 2.5 hours behind the closed doors of the Liberal Party room at Parliament House, the victor and the vanquished emerged. Mr Kennett was still Liberal leader and Mr Hunt was a political outcast.
I will give him my unqualified support. The speculation that I might resign from the party or the Parliament is absolute nonsense.
Mr Hunt has been replaced as upper house leader by Bruce Chamberlain. But what of Mr Hunt, the man who just 2 days ago Mr Kennett said could not be trusted?
There's a great deal to be said for forgiveness. Today was a cleansing of the souls, and I have absolute confidence in Mr Hunt.
Mr Kennett refused to give the voting margin, but it's believed he had at least 30 of the 48 members behind him. And as far as Mr Kennett is concerned, there will be no more challenges to his leadership.
I'm sure that I was going to win in the party room today, but then I thought, gosh, if I didn't, who are the media going to have to play around with over the weeks and months to come?
But the government has also been enjoying Mr Kennett's discomfort, particularly as it comes at a time when opinion polls show massive support for the Kane administration.
But he's mortally wounded because of what's taken place. I mean, when one just looks at even half the things Alan Hunt said about him, what can you say? What can the electors say?
Despite Mr Kennett's confidence that there will be no more challenges, there are obviously those within his party who are unhappy with him as leader. And there's still plenty of time to go before the next state election is due. Shane Castleman for 7 National News.
High Court Judge and former Attorney General in the Whitlam government, Mr Justice Lionel Murphy, died at his home in Canberra at 5 o'clock this afternoon. He'd been seriously ill with cancer for about 2 months. A short time ago, Prime Minister Bob Hawke paid tribute to Lionel Murphy, saying he'd lost a colleague and a personal friend.
I would like to extend to Ingrid, Lionel Murphy's daughter Laurel and his 2 sons Cameron and Blake, my sincere sympathy, that of Hazel and of the government. Lionel Murphy was an outstanding Australian. He had a brilliant career in the law before coming to the Parliament, the Senate, in 1962, where he had a very distinguished career. He became leader of the opposition in the Senate in 1967, served in that capacity until 1972, and of course then became leader of the government in the Senate until 1975. He, as Attorney General, made very significant contributions in many areas: family law, consumer affairs, legal aid and civil liberties. He was appointed to the High Court in 1975, and I believe all Australians are indebted to his service on our highest legal institution.
We cross now to our chief political correspondent in Canberra, Ken Begg. Ken, what do you see as Lionel Murphy's political legacy?
I think as a crusader, as Attorney General, Justice Lionel Murphy, or then Senator Murphy, was responsible for things such as the Family Law Act, the Trade Practices Act, the Australian Law Reform Commission, and a great deal of work in other legal areas, including civil liberties and human rights. He was very much the reformist.
Do you think the controversy that has surrounded the judge will die with him?
I think much of the controversy that surrounded the former judge probably won't die with him. When we think back to 1973, to his raid on ASIO, right up to his standing down from the bench 20 months ago over criminal charges. For his friends, there'll be a great deal of bitterness tonight. They'll claim that his death was caused by those charges. And I guess for his friends also a moment of sadness. I suspect that the controversy will continue long after Lionel Murphy is buried.
Thank you, Ken. Ken Begg, a final tribute to Mr Justice Lionel Murphy.